Hello, I'm Dane. Welcome to another episode of DAX User. In today's episode, we'll discuss how to auto format and not auto format numbers. So basically, what we're going to do is we want to be able to switch between auto formatted and not auto formatted numbers. So why do we want to do that? Because sometimes if the number is too long, it gets harder to read. For example, um, it says here 11,824 and 40. So sometimes it will be easier to read it as 11.82 million, right? So what we're going to do is we will not be using the format function because format function returns a text. Instead, we'll be using dynamic format strings. And in this case, I already have the format string prepared. Oh, where's that? Mm, Here we go. So this is our format string. So this is what's going to do. If the absolute value, whatever measure we will be applying this format string to, is 0, then return 0. If it's 1, it, well, you can just return uh the decimal number. 100, 1,000, and the trailing comma here denotes the number is to be divided by a factor of 1,000. So if you see two commas, then that will be here. If you see two commas, that will be a million. And if three commas, then a billion. So let's try this one. Copy this and let's select a measure. And we will try to apply this to sales. Go to dynamic and copy paste that format string. And now our sales is formatted, but this is a bit manual because we'll have to apply the same formula for all the measures. So instead of using the same formula, let's just create a DAX user-defined function. And the simplest way to do that is by going to the model view and model tab under data pane. And let's look for functions. I already have the function added here. Oops. So I can just copy this one and paste. And we want to make sure that, okay, so I want to make sure that we have these. So this is a DAX UDF without any parameter. Again, undo. So we go back to that measure, sales amount, and format. Instead of using these rows of DAX formula, we'll be using FN number dynamic format string, which is the name of our measure. And so it will be applied to sales. And we can do that for, say, quantity. Dynamic FN. Okay, so What if the user wants to see the absolute number, the numbers without formatting? So what do we do? So we go back again to our uh, function, and you will edit this. So what we're going to do is we'll be adding parameters, and then we will bind that parameter to the slicer selection. So first, we want to be able to select whether we want it formatted or not. So I'll be adding a format parameter, and this will be oops, a string with a default value of auto, and we will know what auto means later. Auto, and next is we will have our decimal place, which is going to be an integer, and our default value is 0. So it's up to us whether we want the numbers to have decimals or not. And then our currency is we might want to add currency, and currency is a string and default value is none. So it's up to us whether we want to have currency or not. And this one will be our auto. So for example, if the slicer selection or the value of our format parameter is auto, then we return this value. If none, var none, then we create another format. So what should we do? Let's say 0 point, and we want to repeat. We want to repeat the decimal by our decimal parameter and return which format auto, then auto, none, then none. And we add our currency. So currency and this. And of course, these we can actually we can go back to this or which one? Sales amount and format. Now in our let's go back. We have this currency. Let me just copy this and paste this in a text box. So I have a reference. of what the parameters are. Fields amount, format, the default is auto. Let's say none. What happens if we select none? Eh, Not formatted. And we forgot to add a comma. So let's go back to our um, function and let's add a comma. Mhm. Okay, so what's wrong with our sales? It's in reverse. Zero. Hmm, weird. Now I know. This should be none and not none. Okay, there we go. It says none. Let's go back again. Format, none. And decimal, let's say 2. And currency is dollar. Okay. So what if we want to switch between auto and not auto formatted? So I already have a table, a custom table that says format strings auto and format string is none. And we'll be using this in a slicer. Let's add that to slicer. Format string. And let's make this single select for selections. Auto, none. And we'll be binding our function or our format string to this slicer. Format, selected value, format string, format string. So none, auto, none, auto. And we'll be applying the same format string to all other measures. Cogs, dynamic, format, profit, dynamic, format, quantity. Hmm, Quantity, format, and we don't need the dollar sign. Okay. So this is how you auto format and not auto format your numbers. So that's it from me. I hope you've learned something. Thank you for staying with me and have a good one. Bye bye.